Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well out there. And today we're gonna head back to the early 90s for another Cannon film. But before we do that, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Join me here. I greatly would appreciate that. Also, as always, a shameless plug for my TeePublic and my Zazzle store. I'll leave a link for both of those in the description box below. And today we're gonna talk about a movie I've never seen before. And just to preface this review, me and Dale _A from the Bat and Spider podcast. Do me a favor, go over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Give Dale and Chuck some love. They drop an episode every Thursday morning. Those guys are awesome. We do a movie night once a month, at least we try to. And it was my idea to do a retro movie night. I have a VCR. I have some VHS tapes, as you can see here. So Dale was up for it. So I took my VCR over to his house, took some VHS tapes, and we watched some movies. And there was one movie in particular that we're going to talk about today that I had never seen, neither had Dale. I'd never even heard of this film until the great Chris Christopherson passed away just a few short weeks ago. And I was on some websites that I frequent, and this movie was brought up. And this movie is called No Place to Hide. And the only way to watch this film is actually on VHS. There is no DVD, there's no Blu-ray. This was the only way for me to get my hands on this film. It sounded interesting. It's basically a cop. Chris Christopherson's in this film, Drew Barrymore's in this film, Martin Landau's in this film, O.J. Simpson's in this film, and Kane Hodder also makes an appearance. And he actually has a couple speaking lines. Not much, but a few. It's about this cop. Chris Christopherson plays this police officer, LA police detective, who had some tragedy in his life a few years before. His wife and his 9-year-old daughter were killed by a drunk driver, played by Kane Hodder. Martin Landau is his superior on the police force. He's not very well received in the police force by some of the other officers, as we see. The one guy basically tells him to off himself right in front of a room of 12 other cops, and nobody blinks an eye at him. And basically, Drew Barrymore's sister, who's this dancer, this ballet dancer, gets killed during a performance of this ballet. She just gets stabbed to death. And right away, Chris Christopherson's assigned this case. And Drew Barrymore's her younger sister. And now she's left. She's 14 years old, now left with no guardian. So Chris Christopherson, after some back and forth and not so much, they're not pleasant towards each other, but eventually he brings her to his house so he can protect her because he realizes there's a group of people trying to kill this 14-year-old girl. So as the plot moves forward, the plot of this movie, the way it sounds, the way they tried to sell it, is a lot more cooler than this movie actually is, I will say up front. Eventually, he realizes there's a group of Satanists or a group of this cult trying to kill this girl. And at the end of the movie, it's revealed that Martin Landau is like the head of this cult. He was brought into it years earlier, and they want Chris Christopherson's character to join this cult. And for his entry into it, they bring the drunk driver, played by Kane Hodder, into this room filled with people that are members of this cult. And they tell him, here's your chance for revenge. Kill the guy who took your family away from you. Chris Christopherson doesn't. Shoots Martin Landau, he escapes, and he's in the one final fight with this guy trying to kill Drew Barrymore's character. He fakes his death, him and Drew Barrymore ride off into the sunset, and that's the end of No Place to Hide. What to like about this film? Well, I think Chris Christopherson, Drew Barrymore, Martin Landau, even O.J. Simpson, I know that seems weird to even say. It was weird when he even showed up in this film. And there's even weirder things they do with O.J. Simpson. He shows up in a van, like a panel van, and then he's in a wheelchair. He was a football player, I know it was a stretch for OJ, that got hit in the back. His spinal cord was damaged, and now he's stuck in a wheelchair. And he is the one that Chris Christopherson's character thinks can protect Drew Barrymore's character while he's out doing his job. Bizarre as hell, but he does put up a good fight, so whatever. Other than that, I think what they tried to sell this movie as, like I said earlier, is a lot more interesting than what they actually shot. This was towards the end of Cannon's reign. This was shot in 91. It didn't get released till 93, which is never a good sign. It only made $153,000 at the box office, got released on VHS, and disappeared. Chris Christopherson disowned this film. He hated it, and Martin Landau doesn't like to talk about this film either. While I think the actors are trying to do the best they can, and there's only a few action scenes throughout the film. There's not a lot of action. There's a lot of just drama and people arguing, and there's really not a lot that happens until like the last 10 minutes of the film when it's revealed about this cult and Martin Landau tries to talk Chris Christopherson into joining. Other than that, there's not a whole lot going on here. And there's certainly no Satanists, really. I wouldn't even describe a cult as that. This is a cross between Dirty Harry's Magnum Force, just not as exciting, because in that, there's a group of police officers who decided to take upon themselves to take out the seedy, trashy criminals of San Francisco because the justice system keeps letting them go. Well, Martin Landau lays all this out to Chris Christopherson's character in this meeting at the end, that they formed this group to take revenge on the murderers and the rapists and the drug seller pushers that the justice system keeps being lenient on and letting them go. It doesn't make any sense, and they never explain why they tried to kill Drew Barrymore's sister, or they're still trying to kill this 14-year-old girl who hasn't done anything. They set it up as they're being noble in, taking out the trash that the justice system keeps letting go, but then they never, like, the big plot hole is, why are you after this 14-year-old girl? They never explain it at all. It's just like, oh yeah, we have to kill this girl. Why? She didn't do anything, and her sister, from what I could tell, they never justify why they killed her either. It's just weird, and there's plot holes all over the place. Now, I think there's a remake in here that could be really badass with the right director, because this movie's not very well directed either. But I think you could remake this movie into something pretty fun and trashy and violent and action-packed, and put more horror elements in there, which I was expecting. There's really no horror elements in here. The opening scene where they kill the Drew Barrymore's sister's character, that's the only thing you get close to being a slasher film here. Other than that, again, everything else is just gunplay or hitmen that are sent to try to kill Drew Barrymore. That's about it. So there's not a lot to like, honestly. This is one of those ones that if I was at a video store, I would have rented, because the box art, who's in it, and what it's supposedly about. But I would have been disappointing after watching it. Now, I'm not sorry that I bought it. I only bought it for $9, and I thought it sounded interesting. That's why I bought it. So they got me on that. I think the acting's, like I said, Chris Christopherson, Martin Landau, and Drew Barrymore are giving it their best. But unfortunately, it's just in a really not exciting movie, very dull, and not a whole lot happens. And it's not a very good movie, honestly, at the end of the day. This is typical. Even for Cannon, not to have more action is bizarre. I'm thinking they didn't have the budget to put more action in. Maybe it was written in. They just couldn't do it, because the action is very sparse throughout, and there's really no horror at all. So at the end of the day, I'm not sorry I watched it, but this is not a very good movie. I would give this one a 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 for No Place to Hide. Have you ever even seen this film or even heard of it? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly would appreciate that. I'll be back soon with some more reviews, but until next time, bye.